All right, what is going on at Sexbox? Sexbox studio closures. It took a woman to do it.
In part one of this miniseries, we covered Asha Sharma's charm offensive. It's been a successful one, but now we cover the reason why she built up all that PR, and it begins with a quote. "We won't succeed by hiding hard truths, nor will we succeed by doing the same thing and expecting different results."
I respect that as long as I see results, because a lot of these people bullshit around, they don't do anything, and then they just go like, yeah, sorry, I just didn't feel like it. I want results!
So if you think that this is Xbox going back to the good old days, no, it absolutely isn't, because those days are quite literally gone. But where it all really led up to was on Wednesday, when Xbox published a memo to staff. In the memo, we learned the next 100 days would need to be a, and I quote, reset. That staff needed to hear hard truths that were holding them back. That very same day, the press reported plans for an unknown number of layoffs and maybe even a studio closure. Xbox have spent the last 100 days trying to show you how they've changed, but now, for the next 100 days, they're already back to planning their 4th year of layoffs. Bloomberg cites insiders in this one, and the cuts are also planned to, quote, significantly slash budgets for marketing and some other areas of the business.
Well, yeah, why would you market a failing game? You gotta gauge interest. My issue is that some of these games get so much attention and so much, like, advertising, but then they still end up being flops because they're not even good. Yeah, welcome home. Yeah, it's a skill issue. More jobs being replaced by AI? Yeah, like, it's tons of fucking corporates that are just going to get cut and they're going to get replaced by AI. It's the unfortunate state of reality.
But of course, we knew that this was coming. For the last few weeks, executives at Xbox have been parroting the "not in a healthy spot" line. And The Verge's sources actually suggest more. Cuts could even involve a studio closure or changes to the Xbox studio lineup. Now, that resurfaced a claim from the giant bombcast that up to 1,000 staff could be impacted by this. None of this is surprising to me. But what may be a bit of a surprise is that before the layoffs have even happened, Xbox are already trying to justify them, and that is very different to the way they have operated with layoffs before. Next 100 days, Xbox Reset. That is the title for the memo from CEO Asha Sharma and Chief Content Officer Matt Booty to Xbox staff. Now, this memo doesn't mention layoffs whatsoever. Rather, it is a call for understanding. What it does is it reviews the last 100 days where the work has, quote, started to revive Xbox. And all credit where it's due, some of that stuff is real. Tidbits like them doing more updates in this new era than they had in the prior year, talking about more active partners than ever, that Game Pass is back to growth, and that players are being listened to.
Well, you could tell that they were flip-flopping on prices with the Xbox Battle Pass, or not Battle Pass, sorry, the Game Pass. They were flip-flopping on it so much. They were trying to, like, recoup their losses on basically over-bloating their company. Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. 30 a month? Yeah, I know, it's nuts.
Or at the very least, feel listened to. FanFest, of course, is coming back, and the Xbox Showcase put the strength of their pipeline on display. It was a pretty damn good showcase. There's exclusive games that give people something to look forward to, and of course, all the while, the likes of Forza Horizon 6 just show absolutely huge success. But of course, that stuff was in the past, and for the future, staff now need to be aware of the reality of Xbox's situation, because as much as all of that stuff is good news, numbers talk, right? Leadership claims we won't succeed by hiding hard truths, nor will we succeed by doing the same thing and expecting different results. I think that's fair enough. So
well, yeah, it's because you've been doing it for like, I want to say 8 years. Yeah, 8 to 10 years. They've been flopping around and floundering, and I think it's finally coming to fruition.
Next thing for us to do is to understand what those hard truths are.
13?
Real.
You think it's been that long? I feel like people started getting into the crabs into the bucket moment, I think probably a couple of years into the X-Bone. Because people still give the X-Bone, that's what I call the Xbox One, the X-Bone. They give that one the benefit of the doubt, but then about a year or two in, I remember people started really fucking complaining a lot about the changes of, like, how many times they flip-flopped and just gave him like a lot of shit. Disastrous launch? Was it as disastrous as the original Xbox 360? I don't know, because I knew a lot about the 360, because like I was a kid growing up and a lot of my friends had Xbox 360s. I didn't, but I remember there was my friend and she had a brother that had an Xbox 360. It was a huge success. Yeah, but it was a horrible time at the start. It was, but I think what actually gave him a really redeemable launch is that they actually went out of their way to fix it. Yeah. Because I remember watching a video of the CEO being like, we're going to take a loss on it and fix this problem because otherwise we're going to die. Did they not have that same sentiment with the X-Bone? The Red Ring? Yeah, the CEO, or one of the CEOs back then, who was in charge of Xbox at the time, when it happened, I'm saying this like paraphrasing, but he said something along the lines of like, we have to do this for the customer, or we're never going to get them back ever again. X-Bone had a lot of issues. They were the one who were all making discs locked to a console after first installation.
Let's dive into the numbers then.
Ew.
As always with things like this,
I just heard the price was really, really bad as well. They were complacent on the X-Bone at first. I see.
Before any interesting numbers, they like to recap their wins. So they boast about Xbox having 1 billion players a year with 72 billion hours played across all platforms.
Well,
there's a caveat.
Again, I hate the metrics of all monthly or yearly watch time, play time. It doesn't mean a lot to me.
Is that China and some other places are exempt. Beyond just play, there's shows and films like Fallout and Minecraft that are putting wins on the board for Xbox. That all seems
them
good,
getting
and it's
Minecraft was a
especially
big
good to them
deal.
because they are framing their biggest competition in the market right now as attention. And they don't stop at games either. It's TVs, apps, any format that you can name. All of that stuff is competition that could take away Xbox's players. That language about attention seems to come directly from Xbox's new strategy boss, Matthew Ball. So yes, we've got Matt Ball,
he knows
we've got
ball,
Matt
huh?
Booty. Collecting all the mats,
Booty!
basically. The
I
attention
forgot about
economy
that guy.
is his big theory
Matt
here.
Booty.
It's been the spine of his yearly reports. It's his answer for why games are struggling. And now, it's Xbox policy. We've got some hard financial data from Xbox. And that is quite new, because their numbers are usually buried inside Microsoft's larger reporting, and that's meant that we haven't had much transparency into how the company's actually doing. So, the last 5 years, they've spent over $20 billion on investments in content, platforms, and hardware.
Excluding Activision Blizzard King, over the past 5 years, we have spent over $20 billion. How much did they buy Activision for? Blizzard, how much did Microsoft buy Blizzard for? 69? Oh yeah, Chad, this is gonna make you laugh. I lowballed it initially 30 billion. I thought it was 30 billion. It's 69 billion dollars.
And that's, of course, not counting the Activision Blizzard
Oh
King
my
acquisition.
God.
Slight problem
Nice.
for them, though, is that revenue declined by, quote, nearly $500 million in that time. That's brutal, and it puts them at
that's
a
bad.
3% accountability margin. Now, obviously, there'll be some internal accounting tricks in there, but for the sake of argument, that means Xbox are about 3% profitable, and that is absolutely devastating.
That's
it's
horrible.
below the rate that you could get just putting your money into a
That's so bad. What? It's actually worse if you just put your money into savings, which people tell you to not do anyway. That was a good segue. Yeah, that's a good little ad. That's funny. That's very
savings
funny.
account or into some relatively low-risk bonds. So if you're Microsoft and you're thinking about capital allocation, you're almost certainly not going to
Imagine
look
he
at
had
Xbox
an ad
and
for
think,
that. That would have been
wow,
so good.
that's fantastic. Now that phrase, accountability
I don't think it
margin,
was an
might be
ad, but
ringing a bell
still.
for you, and well, yeah, it should
Save
be.
your
And that's
money.
because a week ago, Asher
3%
Sharma told
is
Bloomberg
horrible.
Tech this.
Like, I'm not a financial person at all, but even I know that's terrible. Goodness gracious.
My mandate is not 30% accountability margin. It's not enterprise software margins. It's to be the #1 gaming and entertainment company, and that's what we're going to go do.
Now, seemingly, she still does
I mean-
have some margins to hit because she's adamant that 3% is not enough. She says, going forward, this cannot continue. And let's be real with ourselves, 3% is really, really bad, and yes, this cannot continue. Next, we get to hardware, and I have to be real with you guys, this is the ugly one. Sharma explains that—
I really hope they don't go the path of PlayStation. I know this is an old video, this is from a month ago, but it's really concerning.
from autumn to February, storage components doubled in price, and that by holiday 2027, they expect prices to be 5 times what they were in 2025.
Yeah.
The same also goes for memory, and where it's interesting is she claims that decisions made over the last 5 years left
They will?
Xbox
I mean,
more
I don't
impacted
know.
by this than other companies. Now, they claim to still be committed to Helix, but delivering it will require, quote, a new business model and partnerships for hardware. And that's because they aren't even making enough consoles right now, as in, they're unable to make enough Xboxes to handle the current customer base. That's not all that many
Wow.
units in the grand scheme of things. And one of the big reasons why is,
Yikes.
well, these companies sign contracts with their various suppliers. And that's where Xbox is passed as a problem. They needed to be more profitable, so they did not sign up to huge contracts of similar volumes to, say, the likes of Sony or Nintendo, and that means that now they're in an even weaker spot. So on the hardware front, it's extreme.
I mean, realistically, how many people are buying new consoles? Like, how many of you guys are going to buy the new Xbox, even though you already have one right now that's like the older one, like the older gen? Like, it's so fucking expensive. You'd rather just skip out on it. Maybe it's not that bad of an idea. I don't buy consoles. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people who are like Xbox enjoyers. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have one, buy a console. No, I'm being serious. I'm just trying to gauge how reasonable it is to think, like, in this economy, with how expensive it is, why would you just not keep your old one and just play, like, on the old Xbox?
Rough, but it does line up with what Sharma told Fortune earlier in the week, which was that players won't pay thousands for a console and that we could be seeing, quote, radically different business models that we never expected. Who knows, maybe we will have phone or internet style contracts for how we acquire our consoles. Maybe they'll be less performant.
I think the most criminal thing is that, like, if I wanted to be the goodwill of, say, I don't know, I'd want to work out a deal where the battle pass, whatever the fuck, I keep calling it the battle pass, the game pass, work that into, like, giving you some sort of discount with, like, buying the console. Do they even do that at this point? Like, getting you a discount or something like that? It does? I don't know. I'd have to look into it. I feel like it would be so much, like, more. It would feel better as a customer to not get fucked over by corpos in that sense.
And perhaps at the very worst, well, it could end up in a little bit of a ad-supported Amazon Kindle situation, which I think is a bit of a personal hell. Then we hit the people impacted by the incoming layoffs. The memo praises the studio system that produced this weekend's showcase. Quote, a reliable pipeline of first and third-party exclusives.
You
and
gather points that you can exchange for money. I mean, I guess that's not that bad.
new IP are critical
Still,
to
what
our
kind of
success.
games?
That's all well and good, but Sharma thinks that things aren't good enough. Xbox are stewards of, quote, industry-defining franchises, but have not, quote, adequately funded them to compete and win.
Well,
Halo
that's a skill issue.
3 is one of my favorite games of all time. That statement very much resonates with me, and I'll leave it at that. Perhaps it's
Yeah.
the same for you. The balance between these
Not
and
me,
their
I didn't grow
investment
up with Halo, I
priorities
just
will
had
have
friends
to
that
be
did.
reassessed, and what that means is layoffs and cancellations. It's the same story with their systems and just company backend as well. And one framing stands out in particular, that Xbox have, quote, become too reliant on vendors to operate our systems and must become more self-reliant as an engineering culture
Well, it's too late for you. You dumped so much fucking money. I bet you what happened is they overbloated and blew up their acquisition and their... You know, they have like 14 layers for management. Instead of that, they could have done the self-reliant and not have to rely on vendors for hardware. That would have saved him so much money in hindsight.
build for the future. Honestly, that does make a hell of a lot of sense to me, And I do think
They
that
overspent
tracks with where
so
a lot of
hard, man.
software is going to be going. So in playing
She inherited a shitstorm. No, I completely agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I actually think that if she really does turn this around, I would be very happy for the sex box enjoyers. Because I think it is healthy. I don't want Steam to dominate. I want the big 3 to 4, which is like Nintendo, PlayStation / Sony / Xbox, Microsoft, and Steam to all be competing with one another. Fear Xbox is a lost cause at this point. I don't know, man. They have so much fucking money. Microsoft is so fucking huge. It's kind of like saying that Twitch is lost, but like Twitch just kind of flounders along because it's backed by Amazon.
That's
Epic Games.
her-
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know about Steam doesn't really compete though. What do you mean? They're huge. Every other place gets threatened by. What do you mean? Epic Games gets threatened by Steam all the time. Epic Games CEO constantly shit talks Epic Games because Epic Games keeps shitting the bed and blaming everyone else instead of like doing something good. Yeah.
Talking about paying third parties for tools or...
I'm not saying that they're doing anything exceptional. They're just kind of floundering along, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, like, I think everybody else is shitting the bed.
Support. Have you had awful support experiences with Xbox? I've sure heard from many of you that that has been the case, and whenever I put on my Warcraft hat for running the other channel, I remember keenly a story of Blizzard customer service.
It's so funny how I used to watch Bellular because of Asmon like 10 years ago. Because I started watching him back in like Legion, because he made really good content for WoW, and he pivoted because WoW was dying. And I actually think he did a really good job, and it's so funny to me looking back at this, that this guy used to be like a WoW content creator. Oh my god. Yeah, Blizzard customer support used to be really good, and then I think it was Warlords of Draenor happened, and they cut everyone's jobs.
Being farmed out to other companies, and in particular, one being basically...
And it's all AI now. You get banned for saying, like, the smallest thing. I know for a fact they implemented the same bullshit AI fucking flagging system as they do with like COD and other massive Microsoft games. They just flipped it over there to this game to save on costs and money. You used to actually talk to a real human being when you talk to like a Blizzard employee or something, or like you opened a ticket and you talk to someone.
Shut down in the way that it used to be with Blizzard,
It's so
and
sad.
then outsourced, I believe, to a firm in Egypt, to put it mildly.
Oh no.
The Activision Blizzard related
so
customer
sad.
service stories.
And it's so like people don't need fucking jobs in America. I would rather work for Blizzard customer support than fucking putting fries in McDonald's bags. How fucking horrible could it be? It's really not. It's no different from customer support for other countries. But like, it's realistically, it's because they don't want to pay you good money for it, or decent money. I'm sure they didn't get paid an amazing salary for customer support, but like, God, it's so sad.
Are coming in frequently enough that I could almost run a full channel about it. I suppose it would be some sort of grim comedy. But one thing you'll notice in that is she's talking a little bit like an engineering leader. And of course, that's not a surprise.
Customer doesn't support a direct value in the eyes of Corpo. Yeah, that's the sad part. They're usually losing money on it. For me, for example, I faction changed in Warlords of Draenor to go play, because I'll give you a long story short. One of the races was really, really broken in World of Warcraft during Warlords of Draenor. You got a free trinket, which gets you out of a CC for free, and it doesn't take up a slot. And a bunch of my friends swapped to Alliance, and I was really, really poor, and then they swapped back, and I literally made a ticket to say, like, hey, could I please change back? I'm really sorry, I changed my mind. And they made me, like, roleplay for it. It was really funny because in the ticket reply, the Blizzard like representative or whatever the fuck, this was like right before they cut the customer support, so it was an actual human being, and I talked to them and they said they were from France, and it was very funny. And it was like $50 to range change, or 30, I can't remember. And they were like, okay, dear Horde player, are you sure you want to do this? And then they were LARPing with me, and it was really funny. And then they eventually gave me the refund. Did it work? Yeah, I got like I got the race change back for free. So I scammed them. So what I was trying to say is, like, yes, customer support is really good for like community and PR building. And it was really, really fun for them as a customer to see that you're interacting with someone else for RP PR. No, for PR, for appearance sake. Yeah, I was like really sad when they stopped doing that. So yeah, all in all, you would lose money on that kind of stuff.
The previous org she headed up at Microsoft was Core AI.
Yeah.
And basically that is move fast, keep everything internal, and deliver updates fast regardless of scale, which, in fairness to her, at least for the easy and low-hanging fruit, that's happened over the last 100 days. But while it's true games are software, they are of course also
Xbox or X-Sex box. They just need to go all out and call it the sex box. I bet you that sales would increase like tenfold.
pieces of art, and the art bit won't always line up with the needs of the engineering culture. The final suggestion is probably the most interesting part of all of this.
Okay.
You see, while generally they say they'll be rebuilding and reviewing, there is still the potential for more mergers and acquisitions to deliver on the future that she's laying out, and she says this is across hardware, PC, mobile, and streaming, because Xbox can afford that somehow. It's just, there's other things they can't afford. And so, across the whole memo, there is a clear trend, and it is this. What Xbox have been doing just isn't good enough. One statement in the studio section seems to underline Sharma and Booty's point. Here's the quote. "We expanded our studio system when we needed a pipeline of content to meet multiple strategies across subscription, streaming, and devices. In the process, we have found ourselves overextended as we executed on changing strategies in a landscape of more readily available content." Overextended is basically...
That's an understatement. I think they bought out way too many motherfucking studios.
Them setting up that layoffs are due to happen. Being real with you, I do also feel that that statement is...
They don't make enough good games. You know what's sad? Like, it really makes me upset that I don't have any investment in Xbox games. I do think it's like a more of a boys console game. They used to have Halo, Gears of War. Like, those games were kind of like the big ones that were like for the boys type shit. I think PlayStation had more... Oh, I don't want to say girly games, but... like, Final Fantasy kind of is, like, for everybody. But, like, yeah, obviously you can be a girl and play Gears of War. But for me, it didn't interest me. And I would argue some people would say, like, oh, Alana, you're, like, a tomboy. And I'm like, I watched my brother play Gears of War, and I didn't get into it. I didn't when I was a kid. He loved that franchise. He played that. He rented an Xbox and fucking played Gears of War. But what I'm trying to say is, like, they don't have a core anymore.
Oddly right. And, of course, that's a reflection of Xbox not really
Wanted
being
to play
ran
Nintendogs?
in a
Yeah, I did.
cohesive
I love
way over the
Nintendogs. I
years.
did.
And really, this is why they keep talking about a reset. The idea is that Xbox were great, but they lost their way, especially in those 5 years where the revenue fell.
Yeah.
So basically, it is a fairly simple make Xbox great again strategy. They basically kept expanding, and as they expanded, which of course will have increased loads of their costs, they also kept changing strategies, and that meant that they bought...
I think they don't have an identity anymore. There's nothing wrong with, like, having an expanded repertoire and, like, being known for a bunch of different games, because Nintendo kind of does the same thing, but they have a niche in some ways. They're the wholesome Chungus, you know, like, I used to associate Xbox, unironically, like, with Mountain Dew, Phil Spencer being a fucking funny Chad in interviews, and Mountain Dew and Taco Bell. I think I said Mountain Dew twice, but you know, you get my point. Like, it's just what it was, like, kind of for sweaty nerds. Like, really, it really was.
Things for one purpose, then had their strategy change after the fact.
I meant Doritos. Yeah, sorry, I said Mountain Dew twice, but I meant Mountain Dew and Doritos, yeah.
Leading, of course, to
Yeah.
chaos and mess. But here's the thing that as a community we really need to understand. Everything Sharma is talking about as being a hard reality, the constraints are set by Microsoft. The hard reality is set by Microsoft. As CEO of Xbox, that's the reality she has to operate in. Across 5 years, excluding Activision Blizzard King, there was $20 billion in games investment. All that.
And it's so funny. I actually have to wonder, do you guys remember the Kinect and then the PlayStation 2 little camera that everybody was going crazy over and they thought that was the future? I wonder how bad of a loss that was since it never took off with like Nintendo, Xbox, or PlayStation. Everyone wanted to chase the Wii. Was that? I think PlayStation 2's Eye or Move or whatever the fuck it was, I think that came out before the Wii. PlayStation Move launch. Nintendo Wii launch. Wasn't it 2007? Oh, you're right. Wait. PlayStation Move. No, there was one before that. With the one with the control with the little camera. PlayStation Eye 2007 October. Yeah, it was like literally a rat race. Everybody wanted to be the Nintendo Wii, huh? Yeah, it was a big deal, but then like it fell off, and I wonder how much of a loss that was in comparison to what they're dealing with right this second. iToy was 2004. Oh, was it? iToy launch. 2003. Yeah, I figured, but it never took off because it sucked. It really sucked.
For a 3% profit. Now, a
Yeah, the motion controller was the blue ball, but that was later. I think that was everybody coasting on Wii.
Was the alternative to just closing Xbox entirely. And that's because Xbox, in addition to losing this generation, also lost the generation before it. They didn't have
Advanced
the hardware
Connect.
sales. Console
Thank God this never took off. I thought it was so lame.
took a back seat because Xbox needed to be more profitable. The 30% margin was effectively a target. That meant the end of exclusivity and the entire "this is an Xbox" thing. That all spread from a reality set by Microsoft and their risk tolerance. Their tolerance for
the Kinect was really bad. It was terrible.
In service of a medium to long-term strategy. And
I think all the games that were like based around like the whole movement thing, they were not great. The only one that really was good was the Wii, but even then the novelty wore off. Yeah, it definitely fell off pretty hard.
That's the thing, right? Their multi-platform strategy is still in effect. They've just realized that they can't market Xbox by saying that Xbox is weak and you can get their games anywhere. So their new plan is to market perfectly to the Xbox fan base. But in terms of the other calls they'll make, well, it's all still within that same reality set by Microsoft. So the easy way to put this is, their strategy is to have their cake and eat it. Elsewhere in the memo, Game Pass is said to be recovering after more than 8 months of
set to work fixing our offering. Man, that's so late though. June 10th, 2026. Yo, Chicken, thank you for the 5 gifted, by the way. Thank you so much.
decline.
Too little,
That's,
too
of course,
late,
because
man.
back in October, Microsoft pushed for higher margins, and Xbox quite simply
thank you for the 10
didn't have
gifted
any other
too, by the
levers
way.
they
Thank
could
you so
pull.
much.
They couldn't just rush out
400 plus games playable on PC, console, and cloud. $30. 75 day one games a year, including all Xbox published games day one. Poopy Soft Classics. Unlimited cloud gaming, in-game benefits, including for Riot Games. Oh, I didn't know that they had a deal. This is the old price? Yeah.
games, especially
They're
when
trying to
a
reduce it,
unique
right?
storm of a Call of Duty failure hit their business. Think about that.
Yeah, that's Skibbity Toilet. Skibbity Toilet COD did not do well.
That investment in franchises and studios that Sharma says she wants. Xbox have spent the last 4 years somewhat being stripped to the bone, cancelling long in development games like, say, that MMO from ZeniMax that had apparently been in development for a long time.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why people would trust ZeniMax with an MMO when ESO is just floundering and not doing too hot. Oh, but Alana has really high counts on the console. I'm like, it's not good enough. For an MMO, it's just really not. I forgot ESO existed. It's not doing too hot, man.
But
Fallout
was
76 as well.
actually said
Yeah,
to be
like,
an
I don't know,
excellent game,
man.
according to people who claim they know what Xbox leadership thought about that
floundering.
project. They've been doing other things.
They're not competing with RuneScape, World of Warcraft, and Final Fantasy. Like, they are not there. They're below Guild Wars 2. And Guild Wars 2 has been around for longer. All MMO are dying. Yes, I agree, but they're not even competing. I don't know why they put it all in, you know?
Like culling studios, and the impact of those cost-cutting
just
actions
gambling.
led
They're
to staff
throwing away
banding
money, in my
together
opinion.
and
I
massive
could've told
teams
them
like,
that.
say, Overwatch and World of Warcraft unionizing. But at the end of the day, 3%
Yeah,
is
that
not
was a big
enough.
deal,
There
too.
is no real way they can get a huge influx of money. That means more layoffs, cancellations, and studio closures are coming. Now, I want you to think about the whole 5 years and $20 billion in investment, right? Think about that. By comparison, Microsoft intends to spend 10 times that on AI alone in just 2026.
Oh my god. I wonder what all those, like, WoW gamers, Blizzard fanboys and girls are gonna think of that. That they're giving their money away to just... Guys, I think it's inevitable. I think these people are gonna be sucking some AI fucking dick. They really are. It's inevitable. I know people are gonna be like, oh, Alana AI sloppa, but it's inevitable. They already are using it. Blizzard's gonna die? No, they're not. It's some fat cope. Blizzard should have died probably like 10 years ago, in my personal opinion. But they haven't. They've just been steadily cruising along, feeding the slop to... you know, a bunch of boys and girls that still, like, ride the nostalgia of World of Warcraft. And even, I would even argue, because our Overwatch has been out for 10 years, those same people that are enamored with that franchise, they're the ones that are going to just keep going.
And to give you an example of the economics in this,
sloppa.
xAI's Colossus 1 data center is said to have cost around $8 to $9 billion. Because of the compute crisis, the shortage of compute, they're currently renting that to Anthropic for $1 billion a month. And then there's the Google deal with xAI, which is pretty much another billion a month. Basically, that is the return on investment that you can get just by building compute focused data centers. So in a world where the likes of Colossus 1 can quite literally repay itself.
They're kind of like Amazon, where they rent out the servers and that's how they make their money. Yeah, you know how Amazon owns basically like all of the internet servers for streaming and shit? Essentially, like they bullied out everybody because they have so much money, they acquired it, right? That's the shit that they're doing because that's how they make their money. My company uses Amazon servers. I would be surprised if you are working at a company that uses servers and they're not owned by Amazon. Like, it's like less than 5% or less than 10% of people. It's owned by everything. A lot of companies are Azure. No, I believe you. I'm sure there are, but I'm saying that the vast majority are Amazon, for sure.
In a matter of months. What do you think about money going into Xbox? Because at the end of the day, opportunity cost is a thing. They only have so much capital to throw into things. Why throw into Xbox when you can throw it into something that has a demonstrably higher rate of return, a faster rate of return, and is in comparison to the 3% accountability margin that we've just heard about. But where Sharma's position gets even more grimly funny...
Yeah, Azure is 31 to 24%. That's crazy. Yeah, they're just the big boys. They're competing in with one another. Blah, blah, blah. I'm turning it to XQC.
Is if we connect the dots.
Huge.
The memory that Xbox cannot afford is the memory that Microsoft's AI data centers are buying up. Somehow, Asha Sharma left her job of 2 years as president of core AI product at Microsoft and is surprised that hardware prices are up. I do not believe that she is surprised about hardware prices.
No, she's just saying that. Everybody can see it. If the average customer knows that the reason the Steam Cube is expensive because of that, I'm sure she's not surprised.
Is being up.
No, she's just doing
stating
it
the
for
obvious.
PR.
But what it all does add up to
PR
is pretty much the
statement.
same position. An Xbox that has to cut costs, that has to become more profitable. It seems Sharma has been given enough wiggle room to operate on a longer time horizon than Bond and Spencer were. And that probably will be good for Xbox, but it absolutely doesn't mean it's the end of pain. There is going to be more pain, it's just that it will be pain alongside a positive story of renewal and appealing to core fans and
This
making
is
names of things
hopium
all
for
caps
sure.
again. That's what it was like in the past, and if modernity's taught us anything, if you want people to get on your side, just say, current day bad, past was better, make future like past. Thumbs up. I guess that's how it all works. But with
As long as we're not creating dog shit remakes and milking nostalgia, just fucking make good games. That's all people want.
that said, when the new leadership took over,
I don't hate this lady. I want her to succeed. I want people to have good gaming experiences. Do they know how anymore? Well, that's what I'm saying. Either remake is coming out in 2 weeks. Oh, I mean, I hope it's not terrible. I have no vested interest in it, but for your sake as a gamer, I want you to have a good time. It's like the same feeling as when people are like, oh, geez, I hope Alana enjoys Classic Plus. And I'm like, I don't really have any hope in it, but whatever. I will play it, but, you know, I'm not hopeful.
Booty made a promise. Here it is. Quote, to be clear, there
Ow,
are no
that was my
organizational
phone. I dropped
changes
it in my
underway
pocket.
for our studios. By
Oh,
the
we got
time
an
he was
ad.
there, maybe they were being planned in his head, but they certainly weren't underway, so he didn't lie. But it's
And turning such a big ship is like so impossible too.
just over 100 days later, and now we're in an era of describing Xbox as, quote, not in a healthy spot, of saying that a reset is needed. That's because fundamentally what Sharma is proposing is, in its very essence, no different to what has been materially happening over the last 5 years. It just has a different coat of paint. They are fighting an attention war by doing bold strategies such as
Well, the attention war isn't being won by any one console, I'm not gonna lie. Between $80 Mario Party and and Sony PlayStation shitting the bed and pissing everyone off, I don't know. They just gotta do something right.
cutting the people who made the things worth paying attention to. She's maybe got a different set of marching orders from Microsoft and has more latitude to exert her own leadership judgment. It seems that she's decently trusted by Nadella and the rest at the top of Microsoft. Perhaps that level of trust means that, yes, Sharma is a company woman, but they actually do trust her to use her own judgment to push
I
back
sure
on
hope so.
some of the maybe short-sighted things from the
Some ruthless female CEOs can really pop the fuck off.
board, and maybe it's the case that
Yeah.
the board quite simply didn't trust Spencer and Bond in that same way. Sharma's been building this new strategy out of the tangled web of everything that came before. Staff have been trying to build a business that could survive Microsoft's scrutiny, all because the line had to go up. It did not go up. And what happens if Xbox does not deliver now? I think there's a better question. How much more can Xbox be cut? I'll leave you with that and a simple recommendation. What we've talked about here is the reality
Cut the CEOs that are buying 10 yachts.
of the situation.
Cut
What
the
we talked about
studios
in part
making
one is the
slop.
charm offensive. And now is actually a brilliant time to go and watch part one, because you can see
No.
the difference between the charm offensive and reality.
Xbox fans are being played. Everybody's being played. We're all just fucking slop enjoyers. You guys have your Sexbox slop. I have my Microsoft slop. How much fat can you cut to still keep it alive? I think they need to cut more. Genuinely, I do. I think the bloat from COVID is really starting to show. And turnaround will take years. Well, yeah, it's a massive, like, spaceship, and turning that shit around is gonna take years. I think minimum at least 5 to 10. Between 5 and 10 to see results. It's not gonna be instant. That's, like, fucking impossible.
For you.